and the orb passed through many hands until it found the weaver. I can taste the noise that's not my own, this tapestry of clank, thud, and dust. It flashes red behind my eyes, disjointing all of my senses. I sneak a glance away from my station. A dozen other operators loom stone-faced into view, unreadable as the books that I've never been taught, undecipherable as the lettered script that tumbles from each page into a swirl of knotted threads. Shadows are hurled to the war, spun out by the clacks and the clicks from the pits where we sit tethered taut to our frames. Here we have no names. We huddle in the cramp and the gloom, hands raw red in the cold and sweat red in the heat. The creaking clunk of a room full of pedals starts up and then settles, and I dare to let out a breath. Before back to clack the treadles restart, shedding my peace and shredding my heart. Here there is no order, no sign, no rhythm, no rhyme. It's a noise I can feel in my sleep. I anchor my arms and risk a moment of closing my eyes, desperate not to keep counting the time till my body leaves this room for my home. I hope that the foreman won't notice, or the other girls mutter their protests, as I shuttle my mind to a quieter place, an airy space, a gentler pace, back to where mine was a solitary craft, where alone, self-contained on my loom, I weaved for fun and for function, exchanging my toil for the gleanings and the rooted fruits of the soil. I put my shaking hands over my ears and dream deep into the past. My mother weaned me with her on the loom. She taught me the weaver's mathematical order, one pedal for odd, one pedal for even. I treaded it out before I could even walk, raising the threads till the warp added up. I fell for the perpendicularity of the warp and the comb, the parallelism of each hanging thread, and how all was held in exact frame precision, each part knowing its true position, with its angles protracted into the tightest equations. In fascination, I first launched the spool-spun weft on its way, slipped inside its shuttled canoe. It floated across that warp-threaded sea, as if blown by a mystical breeze. Its crossing has ever delighted me since. And like a puppeteer, I learnt the ropes, found how to direct the loom's playful dance. Until I could operate these automata's tools without so much as a backhanded glance, directing the endless embrace of the warp and the weft in their cross-purpose chase. I conducted in time, my soundscape beating with the thump of the pedal and the creak of the treadle, the schloop of the shuttle and the clack-click of harness and heddle. I sustained the symphony playing. I jogged back into this industrial bind, craft blind in my pit. To counter each laboured creation, I purposely make one deliberate mistake, as I'll not try to outweave all nature. I cannot compete with the spiders and their silken spun webs, or the oriole birds with their hanging plant nests. So I throw in a twill where a plain weave should be. It's a defiance that sends me a thrill, thinking how my imperfections may outlast me still. And when my death day finally looms, where there's no more salvage against life's unravelling and fray, I hope to see the chaos of memory's threads transformed into a tapestry of sorts, full of haphazard hues and curious patterns. It's nothing you'd display as a master, not a template to spin out a life, but a standout design even so. So I'll shuttle off to my final rest, to a harvest mice haven where we weave eternal threads, snuggled and silent in our cosy nests. There's a shout and an order, and my eyes spring open in fear, sensing the collective roll of a dozen sets of eyes. I reach down in haste to pick the next colour to place, but simply stare as a golden thread winds itself tight as a fist. There it pulses, its glow sustained, an embryonic fallen sun. Compelled, a child coaxed to the flame. I reach out, naked hands set fast, braced for the onset scorch of pain. Yet cool this orb is to the touch, and smooth it slips into my skin. Then, as it winks into a spin, clarity floods me from within, like the numb of winter water. It fills my mind with fleeting forms of generations long past, memories of tools and crafts, and those whose work was functional and fair, all told to me in an instant, but, unlike a dream, I know that they'll be safely held for all the time that's left to be. Then a glimpse of a time that I don't understand, a stark walled room where someone clothed in white gown holds up their hands to an arrayed ghostly crowd and brings them to silence with one single word. I clasp close the orb, sensing its low-throated hum. I tense for the returning crescendo of noise, dust, and throng. But what comes, for once, falls light in this room, mere night-washed echoes of sound. I find I'm suspended inside a continual unbroken moment that weaves from that which is only potential to what is now woven in space. I am substance, as much as the loom as I am the thread, reaching along every nerve, stretching from fingers to fibre, held in the present and framed in the whole, until all that exists meets in the weft and the war.